Hello, hello, hello. Crafty Chris here for another Thursday night Scrap Your Scraps. Tonight isn't actually a Scrap Your Scrap, but I just wanted to sort of give an instructional video about how I go about getting pictures to fit in something I've already created. So this album I created with Paper Crafters Workshop and Janine from 49 and Market. It was an in-person event, and we created this amazing album. But you have to create it before you have the pictures, because while you're there building it, the intention is you get the album put together, and then you go back and do the photos. And sometimes that can be a challenge. So I just want to go through the process of how I handled creating the photos, or the photos that will organizing the photos that will go into this album in about 2 or 3 days. So the first thing I do is I need to make a list of pages. Let me just move this out of my way. So I just took a note paper, and what I did is I counted every page, including the cover and the inside of the cover and the back cover, because I have something on each of those things. And what I did is I listed the size of the photograph. That means I actually physically measured the space with a little bit overhang, to tell me what photograph needs to go in that picture. So in this one, in the front, I measured it to be 3.5 square inches. And in some cases, you have to be careful, and I'll show you in one of the other pages, because the shape of the frame isn't square. So you want to take the biggest side on this side and the biggest side on that side to take your measurement. Now I'm noticing that my focus is going wonky, so let me just check that focus. Need to put that slightly on manual. There we go. Okay, now shouldn't bounce around so much. Good. All right, so I counted my pages to begin with. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Wait a minute, how did I do that? 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 30. Oh, I have a little one here. 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. The other side is 50, 51, 52, 53 pages. So then what I did was let me close this up here, wrote down each of the pages, all the way down to 28 on this side, and then I did to 48, but that's because I missed 2 pages, and I flipped past them. You saw the 2 blank pages. I totally ignored them. So I have more pages than I have listed here at this time, but I'm not finished yet, so I'm going to continue to work away on that. So then what I did is I went in and I actually wrote down the photo I needed. So I've already shown you that I measured the front, and it was 3.5-inch squared. So then I went to the inside. So the back of the front, so I went right to the back. So I did the front and the back together. So I went right to the back page, and I measured the back page with my ruler. And this is one of those non-conforming frames. So I made sure I got this edge to that edge so that I would have an accurate measurement. and I measured that to be 3 inches square. Okay, so some of it is going to be tucked underneath the frame, and that gave me the front and the back. So that's what this is here. And then I did the inside front, measured that, and then page 1 is this page, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, and so on. And I measured all of the photos. And even where there was pages that required 2 photos on one page, I made that page, I showed 2 times and then how much those images were. And I did that all the way through. I haven't quite finished yet, but I wanted to get this out to you this week so you could start getting some of those pre-made albums dealt with and used up. The other thing that came up in this is while I was putting this together, the suggestion was to use repositionable tape for the frames. And I think it's brilliant, because how would I get a photograph into this if I put it all together? So by using a repositionable frame, the repositionable stuff just pops up so that you can slip underneath, and then I would just put a bead of glue around it to then put it down permanently. So all of this is already permanent. It's just this top corner and top edge so I can slip my picture in. And I've done that with all of them. As you can see here, this pops out completely, and I can glue my picture to the back of this, or I can do I can just slip it underneath. But you have to, if you have not used permanent glue in anywhere else, you have to make sure you glue all of it when you've got your photo in there. So that's how I handled the issue of how do I get my photo in afterwards. And the same with this. This is all loose, so I can slip my photo in. And these are not attached either. Okay, so I can play around with it, but then I have to glue it down permanently. And again, the same with this. This comes off so I can put my photo in. This comes off so I can put my photo in. And then there are some places where I needed to have 3D dots sitting on top without the dot stuff taken off yet, just because I needed to make sure that, like, is this one done? Yeah. So if I take this one off, okay, I haven't taken the 3D dot piece off here yet because I haven't finished getting that photograph in there. And this was covering that a little. And I can just play around and put it back where it was. But that's how I can lift it up, and then I'll stick that sticky bit down there so it stays down. So that's how you want to work through your album, and to make sure that you can get those photos in. And then I'm going to share my screen here. I hope I can share my screen here. I'm going to try and share my screen and show you how I deal with the photos. Now, if you're sending your photos out, obviously these misshapen photos, which are all different sizes, they're not the standard photo size, will need to be, I'm starting up a program, that's why you can't see it at the moment, will need to be different sizes. So I use Photoshop to do that, and I'm just realizing that I may not be able to show you what's going on because I don't think I can do a share on here. Okay, so I am going to take a minute and flip over to my other camera so that I can put the two videos together. Hi there. Okay, so I am going to take you through what I do with photographs. All right, so here I'm going to open I'm doing Jamaica, and I've done day 1. I'll just show you these. Day 1 to day 4, I think it is. Yep. And what I've done is actually 8.5 by 11 photo paper, which is the size that I use in my photo printer if I'm doing multiples. And I'm going to open again. and then I'll show you the other one. And so you can see that I've added photographs to these images. Now I've got one more space down there that I can add. The first one is going to be finished, and this one is day 2, page 5 to 9. Now if I go back to my list of things, and you have to have your album open when you're doing this too. So I got to get to page 9. Okay, so I'm actually going to start a new page. Oops, I just lost my camera. Okay, so I am going to start a new page. So File, New. I'm looking for 8.5 by 11, 300, 8.5 by 11 inches, 300 pixels, and I like transparent, so I do that. So there's my big 8.5 by 11 page, and now I'm going to go and open. So I've done up to page 9, and you can see that I've put a mark under each, so I know this is the first image, that's the second image, and this is, I'm moving on from page 10. And I go to page 10, and this is page 10 right here. So I'm going to measure that. I've already measured that actually, but now I have to take the photo. That would be the next picture, but it's not going to fit properly into my page. And because you can see my page is a square here, because it's not an item that needs to have order, because it's just, you know, a picture of the hotel, I'm going to move to the next photo. And then this photo, I'm going to try to make it 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. So 3 3/4. Let's see how that will work out. So I just edit the size. So I want to do 3 3/4 is 0.75. So 3.75 up here in my measurement area, and it's going to be by 2 3/4. So we're going to change that 4 to a 2 0.75. There we go, and it's almost perfect size wise. So I just want to bring it in slightly tighter, so I'm getting right at the edge of the coffee cup and right at the edge of our friend there. And I think I'm just going to move it more central, so this Jamaica One Love is in the center, and then I hit enter a couple of times, and there it's cut down to size now. Now I am not using this page anymore because that's finished. This now is going to get dragged up onto my 8.5 by 11, and then I just leave myself a little border because you don't want it to print right to the edge. And then that is that first one. I've been showing you the wrong picture. The first one here, okay? And then the next one that goes with it is going to be 1 3/4 inch square. So I'm going back here, I'm leaving that one. This one I've done, so I'm getting rid of that, and I am going to not save it because I might use it again. Oh, and there's a picture of me in the pool. And I can easily put into that 1 3/4 inch square. So I'm going to go to my editing tool, and I'm going to put 1 and 1, because it already has 0.75 in there, and look how nicely that fits. But before I do this, I just realized I need to change the image size. So let me just go back here and do all that. I forgot to do that on the last one, so I go to image, size. They're massive photos, but I want them at 300 dots per inch. So I enter 300 dots per inch. It doesn't matter what's going on here because I'm going to edit it anyway. And I let that do its thing. It takes a minute. Okay, and then I go up here and I find view, and I put view fit on screen. There we go. Now I can go in and take my edit, and I think I want to get a little closer to my actual body. There we go. And I'm going to go along that 2/3 line up at the top there, and just a bit to the side. Yeah, I like that. We're going to hit enter. Wow, that's very tiny. And then I fit on screen to make sure it still looks good, and it does. And now I'm going over to the grab tool. This is my new file that I'm going to grab this and drag that over. And then I have this to add to that screen. So that's basically it. So reviewing the steps, the first thing I do is I go to File, New. I find my 8.5 by 11 by 300. So make sure it says 8.5 by 11 inches by 300 pixels. And transparent background is just what I do. And then I press create. Okay, I'm not going to do it now, but then I end up with this blank 8.5 by 11 page. Then I go in and find, I don't need this anymore. I go in and I find my next number on my list, which is page 11, and it's a 3-inch square that I need. I'm going to find a picture. This one doesn't have a timeline, so we're not worried about that one. Oh, look at that. That's me napping, but I don't need that one there. Here's my husband, so maybe I'll do a 3.5-inch square on that one. So I'm going to make sure I change my image size to the same size of pixels that I want. Doesn't matter what it says length and width. This I need to say 300, because what happens sometimes with Photoshop is it loads your nice big photos up very small, almost like a thumbnail, and it makes it a problem for when you change and crop. So we're letting that do its changing of size. So it's going from 72 to 300, which means it's getting much bigger. And sometimes that takes time. So now I'm going to view, because I want to see it on the screen. There we go. I'm going to go to my tool over here, which is my crop tool. I'm going to put in, I need 3 inches square, if I'm not mistaken. Double check. Yep, 3 inches square. So I'm just going to change my numbers here to 3 inches square. There we go. I've got my grid. Now I want to focus it a little bit lower because it shows that he's got his shoes off and he's playing on his phone, I think. Anyway, we're going to crop that, and let's look at it again. And I'm noticing that I've got this little white line. I do not like that. So I'm going to go to undo crop, view it on screen again. And I'm going to use my down arrow on my, my up arrow, sorry. Because what's happened is when I moved it with my mouse, it actually jigged it to one side, and I don't like that. So we like this now. Just click on it a couple of times, and now let's see. There we go. That line is gone now. Now what I'm noticing, I'm just going to open that up a bit. It looks very dark. I'm not really a big fan of that. So I'm going to go in, adjustments, levels. And I choose white as my balancing level. That's under levels. So you go to image, you go to adjustments, and then, let me do it again. We go to image up on the main bar, then adjustments, and then levels. I'm going to pick, you have bright, medium, and dark. Always pick the bright one because it chooses the what do I want to say, chooses the actual level. And then you got to kind of play around with it. I'm going to go down to something I know is exposed to the sun. This stuff is not exposed to the sun because it is under a canopy, but this little piece down here is. Whoops, that's too much. So I go up to Edit and Clear. Oh, still again, Edit and undo color sample, and I think I might get in a little bit closer there, and I just want to get that. There we go. You notice how the difference is? It just went from brighter to darker. So let me put it on screen. Now watch when I undo what I just did. That's what we had, and now this is what I have. So it's a little brighter without being overly bright. So now we go up to our little grab tool and we grab it and put it on our 8.5 by 11 paper. And that's basically it. So I'll go through all the photos I have. I'm going to get rid of that one because we did it. I'll go through all of the photos we have until we end up with this thing as full as possible. And then I will name this from what day to what day, or what day it is, or if there's multiple days, and then the page numbers that I'm covering with these photos. All right. So these are the 2 pages we just did. So we have my little body in the pool, and we have, I can't remember, oh yes, we have the fun things that we bought in the shop, and then the picture of my husband relaxing and playing with his phone. So those are the pages we did just now. So this is a quick video just kind of give you an idea of how to go about filling in with photos these three-dimensional books that you create when you're at these crops. And this is it. That's exactly how you do it. I hope that was helpful to you. If it was, please share with your friends, and I will see you next week. Bye.